Okay, let's continue on with these problems. 1A reads, on July 1st, this Industry Inc. issued a $50 million, 10-year, 8% bond when the market rate was 10. So the world's paying 10, we're paying 8. That's going to be a discount. And to prove that, we received cash of $43 million, not 50 if it was at face. Interest on the bonds is payable semi-annually on December 31st and June 30th. All right, number 1, journalize the entry to record the amount of cash proceeds from the issuance of the bonds. Well, again, we put the bonds in at 50, we record the cash that we got, the balance goes to discount. Then when we pay the interest every 6 months, it was a $50 million bond, takes in 10 years, $50 million, 8%. Well, 5 times 8 is 4 million, but it's every 6 months, so 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we pay cash of 2. We take this $6.2 million discount and amortize that over 20 periods, 10 years times twice a year, that's 20 periods. That, in essence, increases our interest expense. So we will actually do these same journal entries, if you will, 20 times. It is a 10-year bond, pays twice a year. You would do those entries 20 times. Number 3, it just reads, determine the total interest expense for 01. Well, the interest expense would be, because in 01, we only made the December 31st payment, so it'd be 2.3 million. Every other year, it's going to be approximately 4.6, so that times 2. Part 5, which is not probably the scope of this course, it says compute that price of $43 million. There has to be a reason how they came up with that $43 million, and it's because right now the market is paying 10%. We pay 8%. It's 20 periods, so we need to figure out what is this thing worth. So a $50 million bond at 5% semi-annually, so 10% divided by 2, that's the market, that has a face amount of $18.8 million. There is also the series of payments. Every 6 months, we will write a check for $2 million, which is based on the 8%, and we'll take it times the present value of an annuity. That's 12.46221. That has a present value of $24.9 million. So the present value of a lump sum, the present value of the annuity, gives us bond issuance based on the 10% of $43.7 million. Okay, problem 2A is where the company sells equipment on July 1st. They issued a $30 million 10-year, 10% bond when the market is paying 9. Well, if we are paying 1% more, it's going to be a premium. As such, you see, this is why we received $31 million. The bonds are going to be credited at the face amount. The difference goes to premium. Once again, it's a 10-year bond that pays twice a year. So we will take that $1.9 million and divide it by 20 payments. So $97,556. So that's the entry that we'll make 20 times over. Here's the $30 million bond at 10%. That's what we pay. 30 million times 10% is 3 million. Divide it by 2 because we pay it twice a year in half, 1.5 million. So the difference then gets booked to interest expense, which the premium essentially reduces our premium expense. Again, step 5, it asks, compute the price of $31.951 million. How did we get that? Well, again, market is 4.5%, right? It's actually 9%. Divided by 2 is 4.5. And we pay this interest payment 10 times 2, twice a year, 10 years times 2. And we take this 30 million, that's the face, times that factor, that present value of a lump sum, it's 12 million. Now we take the 1.5 million, which again is based on our 10%, our face amount, what's on our face, and we take that times the 20 periods at the market rate of 4.5, and we get that factor. Computing those together, it now has a face amount, or excuse me, a proceeds amount, a premium, bond plus the premium, it's valued at in excess of the 30 million to the tune of 31.9 million. And then the last problem we have is problem 3A. Problem 3A, entries for bonds payable. All right. Number one, issued a $74 million 20-year 11% callable bond dated July 1st when the market rate was 13. So we'll certainly get a discount. 74 million. What we receive, 63 million, goes to the discount. Paid the semi-annual interest on the bonds. The bond discount of $261,693 is combined with the semi-annual interest payment. So it's a $74 million bond. We pay 11%, 6/12, half a year, $4,070,000. They gave us a $261,000 discount number. That adds to our total interest expense. On June 30th, paid the semi-interest again, and if you notice, this entry is exactly like this one above here. We would do that every 6 months. December 31st, paid another one. There you go. One more, just like it. On June 30th, recorded the redemption of the bonds when they were called at 98%. So, how did we get that? Well, 74 million times 98% is 72,520. Then step 2 would be that. I would do that. Step 1. That's what we paid. Step 2, get rid of the bond. We recorded at 74 million. And then get rid of what we've already we got left in our discount. Okay. Well, we started with 10,467,000. 10 million. So since then, because this happened on fiscal year June 2003, so we bought this on July 1st. So we would have December 31st, June 30th, December 31st. So, and then the June 30th as well. We would have to factor that amount in there. So we have several payments that we made that would reduce that discount. And here it is. Here's the initial carrying amount, 63 million right here. And then there was three payments, three times it was paid. And notice that they recorded this redemption after payment of interest and the amortization. So the initial, the carrying amount, well here for number 3, so we don't confuse things here. Number 3, it says determine the carrying amount of the bonds as of December 31st, 2002. That's why you see 3 payments, because it only includes those 3. But this entry here, just to be crystal clear, it says recorded the redemption. Okay, the balance in the bond discount is 9.42. So they're telling us that's the discount number. And how would that have come about? There would have been 4 payments of $261,693, or payments, I should say, entries. So we had, so if you take your calculator and you do 261,693 times 4, that's 1,046,000. Take that away from your 63, excuse me, not 63, 10,467,733. And that gives us our 9,429,61. because it says here the balance of the bond discount of 9.420 after the payment of the interest and amortization. So this entry is being done after another one of these was being done also on June 30th. So there would have been an entry like this done on June 30th right before this one. Then we can record this entry where we redeem the bond. And you would want to do it that way because if on June 30th now we're paying off this bond, that's great. But the last time we've gotten an interest payment was December 31st of the previous year. So there was 6 months worth of interest that we should have gotten paid. So we would do one more of these right before we do this entry. That takes care of the long-term debt section of this chapter, and we talked about bonds in this chapter, and one other long-term debt that we don't talk much about, primarily because it's substantially easier, is a mortgage. Typical traditional financing with a bank using mortgage financing. Bonds tend to be a little bit more of a challenge because of the premium and the discount, but essentially it has the same characteristics of a mortgage, just a little bit more complicated. So we spend all of our time talking about bonds, knowing that the mortgage is quite a bit easier. That wraps up the exercises and the problems for Chapter 11.